As soon as I got up, I grabbed my hashtag Rise and Grind planner. I grabbed my planner, and right at the top of my Rise and Grind planner is a quote submitted by the one and only Brian Edlin. That's one of the things I love about the planner. It's always got a quote submitted by Rise and Grind members. So right here at the top, there was a quote from Brian Edlin, and it says simply this: under promise, over deliver. 4 words. Under promise, over deliver. You know, these words ring through me like they resonate with me first thing in the morning. I understand what this feels like on the other side. You see, the importance of under promising and over delivering can be experienced when you've had that experience, where you thought you were going to get one thing and you got something way over the top, something spectacular, something mind-blowing. You know that feeling, right? Sometimes we get that when we meet somebody. We meet somebody new. We don't know what to expect, right? We think it's going to maybe be just an acquaintance or maybe just a quick handshake. And next thing you know, did we just become best friends? Right? And it's always amazing and it's always memorable. So, Brian, I just wanted to say thank you for submitting that quote today before we started today's episode of hashtag Rise and Grind. Let's go. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you, my friend? How are you, my friend? Had a little snafu there. See, there's no excuse for you not pushing yourself to the next level. In order for you to create a new you must have a new mindset. When teams come together, we can create things that are greater than the sum of all of their parts. Good morning and welcome to hashtag Rise and Grind. I am your host, Glenn Lundy. I am a husband to 1, a father to 8, and the creator of what is going to be the #1 most watched morning show in the world. It is 5:30 a.m. and I hope that you are ready to rise and grind. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you, my friend? How are you, my friend? Dude, today is Tuesday, Taco Tuesday in the Lundy house. Just so you know, every Tuesday, we pack up all the kids. We head up to Grandma's house. Grandma lives in Paris, Kentucky. We go to Grandma's house. We walk in about 5:30, 6 o'clock. We're like, boom, right? We get in the house. Grandpa's got the tacos rolling. He's got those going on the stove. Grandma takes over. My wife and I, we sit on the couch. We put a blanket over ourselves like some old people. We watch Jeopardy. We watch Wheel of Fortune. My mom bathes all the kids, right? Like they get their weekly bath. I'm just kidding. My wife's gonna get mad at me for saying that one. I'm just kidding. They don't have a weekly bath. They just all got baths and showers last night, as a matter of fact, just to clarify. But a lot of times Grandma will bathe the kiddos. She takes care of the kiddos. She plays outside with the kiddos. She plays board games with the kiddos. Like, it's incredible. It is our favorite part of the week where me and my wife just zone out. We veg out and watch old people shows until Grandma is like, starts to, deep sighs, right? You know those deep sighs, right? She'll be like, and I'm like, Mom, what's going on? And she's like, oh, nothing. I'm like, all right, hey, Lundy's. Time for y'all to get in the limo and time for y'all to get out of here. But listen, I love Tuesdays. I hope you do too. Today is Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. And what's crazy is today is the very first and the very last time it'll ever be Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. So I want to make sure we make the absolute most, and I do mean the the absolute most of this absolutely incredible, incredible day. I want to start off with this right here. There is a verse that you have all heard from the #1 selling book of all time. And this book said, or this verse says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Now, some of you might not even have known that actually came from the Bible, but that's where it comes from. But that's a very popular quote. People have all heard that. Like iron sharpens iron. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. So this concept, ultimately, if you really think about it, if you really dig into it, this concept implies at least two pieces of iron, right? You can't have iron sharpening iron if you only got one piece of iron. It implies two pieces of iron. I want you to think of like maybe a flat hammer, right? And like a sword or something like that. Like so on an anvil, just picture an anvil and a hot flame, and you've got the flat hammer, the sledgehammer looking thing, but it's a smaller version. And then you've got this hot piece of iron and he's banging on it, right? Clank, 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 right? Those are multiple pieces of iron. And here's what's interesting. It is impossible for one of these tools to become sharper without the presence of the other. One more time for those in the back. It is impossible. Impossible. See, if I just have the sword, but I don't got the hammer to clank on it, that sword's not getting any sharper. It's just not going to happen, right? If I don't have the other tool, if there's not more than one iron tool, then nothing gets sharpened. It requires a counterpart. It requires another. See, left alone, these tools would be nothing but dull and quite useless pieces of metal. And you see, that's what friends are for. Friends are the exact same thing. They're there to make us sharper, to hammer on us when necessary, to apply pressure that no one else can, to do it in a manner that other people won't do. You see, we are designed as human beings. We are designed to grow through external inputs. You guys understand that? Like we grow from the things on the outside that stir up the things on the inside. The environmental factors ultimately determine how we speak, what language we speak, our traditions, our beliefs, all of those things. They're all based on external factors that help us along our path of evolution, this path of evolution that we are all on. But in order for them to do it, in order for these external factors to actually be able to shift or sharpen or change us, they have to be very, very, very clear. Do you understand that? Like if there's confusion in the external factors, then it can't really move us. If we don't really understand the language, then we can't begin to speak it, right? If we don't understand it, we can't speak it. We can't relate with it. We're just like, huh? Like we don't get it. If we don't have a clear understanding of a tradition or a culture, then we can't buy into it. It can't affect us. It can't help us to evolve. So it's incredibly important that external factors are clear in order to sharpen us so that we can become stronger and better. So I want you to write this down. If you got a pen and paper, write it down. If you can take a screenshot if you're on your phone, I'll put it up here on the screen. You can do that if you're watching on Facebook. If you're listening in Clubhouse, write this down. If you're over here on Insta, take a second, stop what you're doing. I want you to write this down. All right? Here you go. I'm gonna give you 7 words. 7 words. Are you ready? You can drop it in the comments too so you can remember this. Now here's the 7 words. These are so important. To be kind is to be clear. To be kind is to be clear. Terry Marks once said, Only your best friend will tell you the truth and bear the risk of losing the friendship because they can't afford to watch you lose your life. Let's dive in. But before we do, you know what we got to do up in here. That's right. That's right. We got to do some dancing, folks. Come on. Let's get the blood flowing. Let's get the heart pumping. Let's get rocking and rolling. Woo! For those of you that know, and those of you that don't know, this is the part of the show where I need you to hit that share button. That's right. I need you to hit that share button because I believe if we can change the way people start their day, it'll make a massive impact on this planet. I truly believe that. And sometimes all it takes to change the way somebody starts their day is for you to hit that share button. If you're on Insta, share it out. Y'all can't hear the music. I understand that, but you can see the music moving through me. If you're over on Clubhouse, hit that plus button. Let's hit the plus button, get some folks to join us in the room. We're going to change the way they start their day. This is also the part of the show where I say good morning to you and you say good morning to me. Whether you're watching live or on replay or listening on Clubhouse or over on Insta or listening to the podcast or over on YouTube, wherever you are, say what's up and I'll say what's up back. I love it. How you doing, Don Sankey? What's up, Lori Gianni? Pam Woosley's up in here. Barrett Trout is in the house. How you doing, Melvin Rodriguez? Terry LaPierre and Tabby Negrit. What's up, Emily Gowler? Great to see you, girl. Have you connected me with Will Smith yet? Come on. We got to get Will Smith on Rise and Grind. I also see Nathan Greklek is in the house. Fiddle Live. The Instagrams always get me. Fiddle Live. What's up, Annalisa? How you doing, Lady Boss? Great to see you as well. What's up, Solana Rich is in the house. And of course, my Clubhouse folks. Gotta say good morning to Jay Lissa up in the house and my girl Joy. Of course, Alpha 6 is up in here and my man Sam Insanity. Great to see you. We've got Bill on the stage today. What's up, Bill? Great to see you, sir. I see Maria and Lori and Damon and Debbie and Nicole and Latasha and Helen and Kedra and Anita. Great to see you. What's up, Jason? Glad you're here, buddy. What's up, Jonah? There's Nathaniel, too. He's in all kinds of spots. He's all over the place. I see Danil. Great to see you, Danil. And Christina and Patricia and Marilyn and Sheila and Dimitri and Rebecca. Oh, my God. Packed house this morning on a Tuesday. Y'all ready to do this? What's up, Liza Myers-Bortis? I see Wes Storm. He's up in here. Mr. Rodney Rock Hatfield. How you doing, Joan Goebel? Ray Hatcher. Everybody's up in here today on hashtag Rise and Grind. Woo! This is episode 827. We've been bringing it. And man, I gotta tell you, it never gets old. Not for me anyway. Maybe for you, but not for me. How you doing, Wynick Chick and Messy Credit? I can't believe I just had to call you Messy Credit. I'm telling you, it's the Instagram ones that get me every single time. So my friend James Sims is going to kill me when I show his face on here because he's kind of he's not really a social media dude. All right. But my friend James Sims, Josh Cummins knows him. He's got a chance to meet James Sims, which is credible. But my friend James and I, we got in plenty of trouble when I was young. Plenty of trouble. Everything from, BB guns, and we would shoot, random stray cats. We'd pop them in the rear end. They'd say, wow, and they'd take off running, right? We'd everything from BB guns to to RC cars, driving the remote control cars, doing all of those things, and running the streets, man. We used to run the streets like crazy in Flagstaff, Arizona. It was nuts. Back then things were a little bit different. So we'd just be in the streets and all hours of the night, and cops would roll by, and we'd act like they were, after us, and we'd go running from the cops, and they'd be trying to see what we'd be doing, and just all kinds of stuff, man. And we hung out in pool halls and smoked cigarettes, and did all the things, man. Every memory I really have of fond memories in my childhood, they're all with James. Every single one of them. James was just my dude. We've been friends since I was 5 years old. We used to line up the kids in the courtyard. I lived in this courtyard, Greenlaw Garden Apartments, 2600 East 7th Avenue, Flagstaff, Arizona. And there was this big courtyard, and it had two sidewalks that went down it. And then it had this, everybody had like I don't know, maybe it was a 300 square foot front yard in the apartment, 300 square foot little patch of grass. And then there was these two sidewalks that ran parallel on either side of the courtyard. And we would line up all the kids. We'd get them to lay down on the sidewalk, 6 kids, 7 kids, 8 kids. And James and I would throw on our rollerblades, and we would start doing stunts to see how many kids we could jump over on the sidewalk. And I remember James one time getting back like a bull, man. He's pulling his legs back so he could get some speed, and he comes skating down, and he goes to jump, and he kicks the very first kid, and it just sends him into a Superman. He goes flying Superman style over all of the kids, lands on his chest, no shirt, skin peels, like all the skin goes peeling off his chest and off his chin, and he's just laying there on the ground. And then he gets up and he looks at me and he says, I think I better go home now. And he skates off, and we're all just stunned, right? But that's James. That's my boy James. He was always good for a laugh, man. He's just a great dude. We dated. We would date girls that were friends so that we could go everywhere, together. And we just spent, if you added it all up, we probably spent 8 months out of the year together. He was either sleeping over at my house, or I was sleeping over at his house, or we were outside together. Like it was inseparable, man. We spent every moment together. And in that, there was a certain level of trust, that was a part of that relationship. Like James, to understand James, James was he was a very prideful man. He took pride in who he was and the work that he did. He's a mechanic. He's super handy with a wrench. And so he took a lot of pride in his work, right? He always took a lot of pride in his work. So he was a prideful man. And he was also the type of person that was incredibly loyal to the core, sometimes almost loyal to a fault. So he was always incredibly loyal, and he was ready to battle at the drop of a hat. Like literally ready to battle at any time at the drop of a hat. If he had to protect his girlfriend, it was on. If it was time to protect me, it was on. If it was time to protect his reputation, it was on. Like James would just walk up into the club. If you went out to the club with James, you better just plan on throwing some hands. That's just how James was. We'd be sitting there just minding our own business. Out of nowhere, James would be like, Lundy. That's what he called me. He said, Lundy. That dude's looking at me. That dude's staring at me. I'm going to pop him. I'm like, James, no, bro, man, dude, we just sitting here. He ain't staring at you. There's a band right behind you. Looking at the band right behind your head, dude. Of course he's looking at you. But that's just how James was, man. I've watched him battle. I watched James battle 3 dudes at the same time. Two guys had his arms pinned behind his back. Another guy was sitting there punching James in the stomach, and James was laughing maniacally. He was laughing maniacally while they were sitting there beating on him. The dude was just crazy, man. He'd have cocktails and he'd get a little loosey goosey, and it was on when it came to James, man. He was a jokester, a cool cat, a great friend, and he had a huge heart. Still does. And when we were young, my family was middle class. You know, we grew up middle class. We never went without, but there was never anything extra. You know, a special night out for us, a special dinner was we would go to the local Sizzler there in Flagstaff. That was a big deal, right? We go in Sizzler, right? Like that was a big deal for us. Sizzler was a thing. Like for real, going out to ice cream, Baskin Robbins, 31 flavors. That was a rare treat. Like we didn't go without. We were always housed and had running water, and we had food, and we were nourished. But my parents worked really, really, really hard to give us just enough, right? To be able to give us enough. And so that's the way we grew up. We just didn't have much extra. And James, on the other hand, his family had quite a bit of money. His grandmother and his mom both had worked very, very hard in the coal mines, and ultimately had been able to create a wealth legacy that they were able to indulge in some extra things. And so Christmas was always an interesting experience, because Christmas for us, we'd get a few gifts. You know, my mom would make sure that we had some gifts, and dad might chime in and get us a gift or two. And we had a few gifts, and it was always nice. And then I'd go out, and James would have so many gifts under his tree that after I got done opening my gifts, after we got done spending our whole morning and now I was outside playing, I'd go to James's house and he would still just have a pile of presents under the tree unopened. He had so many gifts under the tree every Christmas that he would get tired of opening them. He'd say, I'll open some of those tomorrow. The abundance versus I don't want to say lack, because we never lacked, but the abundance versus our middle class lifestyle was extreme. There was an extreme difference there. But when we were young, and my family couldn't afford any of these finer things, for Christmas, James would always buy them for me. Every year he would get a new remote control car that cost $200, or he would get a remote control, helicopter or a plane, or he would get the new David Robinson Skybox rookie card, right? Like he would get all of these things, and he would come to me and we'd talk about what we got for Christmas. And then he would take his Christmas money that he got from a grandparent or an uncle or an aunt or whatever, and he would take me shopping. And whatever car he had, I got to have the same car. Whatever helicopter he had, I got to have the same helicopter. Whatever basketball rookie card I remember for my birthday. It wasn't Christmas. I remember on my birthday one year, I wanted that David Robinson rookie card so bad. And I knew there was no way I would ever get it. And James, he went and he bought it and he wrapped it up and he gave it to me for my birthday. David Robinson Skybox rookie card. So James always made sure to include me. He always made sure that I had whatever he had, even though I couldn't afford it. He made it happen. James was my only true friend. I had a lot of acquaintances and people that I knew and people that I got along with, but James was my only true friend. He was the only person with which I didn't have to put on a mask. I grew up in a unique situation, not knowing my skin was too dark to be considered white and it was too light to be considered black. And I didn't really know exactly where I fit in. So I wore lots of masks, but not with James. Not with James. With James, I never had to wear a mask. Him and I were always incredibly clear. We were clear on the expectations that we had for one another. We were clear when we would come up with some plot or some scheme to go steal quarters out of arcade games at the Mega Foods. I'm telling you, we were trouble. We were not good kids, right? But we were very clear with who had what role. James, you're going to climb up over the shopping carts. You're going to go through this door. I'm going to go this way. You're going to go. Like, we were always clear in our communication, bad and good. We were always really clear on our obligations. Like, hey, bro, if I don't call you, you call me. Like, no BS, no drama, right? How many of you sometimes you're like, well, should I call them? I don't know. Well, they didn't call me last. Well, it's not, why am I always the one that's got to call? I'm always the one who's got to take the lead on it. They could call me too. Phone works two ways, right? Like, none of that existed with me and James. If James didn't call me, I called James. It was just simple as that. If I didn't hear from him, if he wasn't at my doorstep, I was at his doorstep. It was simple as that. We were clear on our obligation to one another, our obligation to be each other's best friend. We were very, very clear on that. No drama was allowed in our space. We were also clear on the fact that there was no amount of time nor distance that could destroy our friendship. We were clear on that. We live 2,000 miles apart now. We're still best of friends. However many years later, 38 years later, we still talk on the regular, still see him as often as I can. Very clear on that. No time nor distance can ever destroy our friendship. But mostly, James and I have always been clear on one simple truth. To be kind is to be clear. We always told each other the truth, even if it hurt. He would always come to me and he would tell me the things, the areas of opportunity and development in my life, the areas that I could evolve and that I could be better, whether it be a better friend, or if he had advice for me as a dad when I first came out as a dad, or any of those things. He was always very clear. Lundy, you can't do this. Lundy, you can't do that. Lundy, this ain't going to work, right? And same with me. I was always clear with him and still am to this day. Like, James, bro, you can't be doing that. You got kids. You got to do this. You can't be fighting everybody in the club no more, right? You're 43 years old or 42. But it is that clarity that allows us to sharpen each other and to ultimately make each other better. And so I share these stories of my fondest and dearest friend, James Sims. I share these stories with you today in hopes that it'll spark something in you, because what we typically do as humans is we typically try to avoid the tough conversations. We typically try to be we're typically more concerned about people's feelings than we are about their actual growth, their actual development. I go back to the quote from Terry Mark, where he says, only your best friend will tell you the truth and bear the risk of losing the friendship, because they can't afford to watch you lose your life. It might not be that serious. It might not be a life thing, but it might be a job thing. You might have people in your circle that are doing things that don't necessarily serve them, that are headed down the wrong roads. And you, as their friend, if you would just be clear of their opportunities of growth and development, yes, the friendship might be strayed. Yes, they might be angry. Yes, they might be upset, but ultimately they can be better. You see, the interesting part about iron sharpens iron is that if there's not two, then no one gets sharper. If there's not someone there with the hammer saying, yo, let's work out some of these kinks, then nobody gets sharper. So the biggest message I want you to take away today is simply that. To be kind is to be clear. It is the kindest thing that you can do for another human being, to be incredibly clear of your expectations, of their obligations, and the areas and opportunities in their life that they can grow. Listen, you have to understand something. You, me, we're all children of God, right? The God of the universe. And so that makes us all brothers and sisters. And as brothers and sisters, we can rise by lifting others. This is a team sport. This isn't a solo game. So don't let any of your friends continue down paths that you know may be destructive for them. And don't let anyone that allows you the kindness of being clear in areas of development for you, don't let that keep you. Don't let your feelings keep you from growing and becoming better. Because what you need to understand is that as a child of God, every decision you make matters. Every decision you make matters. It 100% does. It might seem like a little tiny small thing, but it's got this massive ripple effect. It starts to make an impact on your friends, on your family members, on your coworkers. You just showing up here today has made an impact on me. And I, for one, absolutely love you for it. I do. If nobody's told you that yet today, I want to be the first. I absolutely stinking love you. Are we clear on that? So I need you to be the best version of yourself that you can be. Not an average version, not a below average version, not even a little bit above average. The absolute best, because it matters. So get out there, have an incredible Taco Tuesday. Come join us over on Clubhouse if you want to discuss this more. We're going to be over on Clubhouse until 11 a.m. Eastern time. We've got some guests today that are going to be incredible. We've got some different segments. So you're welcome to come join us there now. Otherwise, come back here again tomorrow morning at 5:30 a.m. because we're going to do this all over again on hashtag Rise and Grind. Have an incredible day. And James, I love you, bro. I love you, man. See ya.
I'm developing spiritually and manifesting miracles. I'm gonna get it started, have a party in the morning, and I'm awake. The world is so alarming. I hashtag Rise and Grind, hashtag Rise and Grind. First thing on my mind, early in the morning time. Daily motivation, feeling so divine. Waking up the nation. Hashtag Rise and Grind, hashtag Rise and Grind, grind, grind. Hashtag Rise and Grind, grind, grind. Hashtag Rise and Grind. Wake up, everybody in the land. Make them all get up and turn the volume up and dance. I'm up like a rooster about my future. Better get used to the routine. I ain't sleep, I'm living the dream. Feeling like I can do anything. Cause this is God's plan. I wake up, I thank the man. Brush my teeth and wash my hands. Then I get back to the grind. Got victory on my mind.